July 10th, 2019, roll call, everybody's present except Raj. Approval of minutes, June 12th, 2019. Any discussion?
Yeah, just one clarification on the comment under section 6. The CIB can approve something over $250,000 if they chose to. Whether or not they would is a separate discussion point.
Where was that in the agenda?
6 on the third page.
So if you want to modify it as less likely we'll approve anything over
I think that's something
250?
that should be added to that. That's what I said. So that's what the minutes are properly reflect what I said. I think that should just be a clarification in tonight's minutes, because that's an accurate reflection of what I said. What I said was incorrect. I'd rather see it.
Okay, this minutes are accurate.
The minutes are accurate, but the information I said, I was saying they won't approve anything, meaning
Right.
they can, but they, and probably shouldn't have spoke on behalf of the CIB. But generally speaking, when I was on the CIB, that was our, kind of our, hey, if it's over that, we want to look elsewhere. They could approve a $5 million project if it was there. So
So we're going to approve the minutes as posted, and then we're going to just put it for next meeting.
Pat just did it tonight.
Just a note for tonight.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's fine.
So you want the note to say,
Clarification
clarification to
the
item
prior
6?
meeting minutes.
if you're looking at these in a standalone, they could be pulled out. Can we add to these minutes, see clarification? Is that, I don't know if that's something that can be done.
We can do anything.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. All right, so we have a motion to do that as amended? Is that what you want to do?
So move. But it's not being amended.
No, we're just going to say seek
Okay.
clarification in tonight's minutes.
Well, that will be amended.
I would think so, right?
Well, I don't want to amend it to strike this out and say, to change what it says, because that's an accurate reflection. But I also don't want somebody 4 years from now to pull this out and say, this is what this says. This says the CIB can't do this, when in fact they can, and we just discussed it, but there's going to be no mention of it in these minutes that we're approving. So can we leave the language and just amend them to say, see clarification on this point on the July 10th minutes? Am I making this too complicated?
No, we can do anything.
So that's the motion to add. I guess that's the motion.
Yeah, the motion is
That
for
we're
the clarification.
So
Notation of a clarification.
accept the minutes as written with the clarification for the July 10th minutes.
Just to put that at the end,
Right.
see
Right.
July 10th
Right.
minutes for clarification.
Right. All right, will not but could, is that what you're saying?
What we just discussed.
They could.
Yeah, just, okay,
Typically, they haven't,
Right.
but they could. They have the ability.
all right, so that was your motion, who seconded?
Well, that was Ray's motion. Did I? Yeah, I made motion.
Clarified.
That's my motion, what Ray just said.
Okay.
There you go.
Then you second, right, Chris?
I will, but I don't recall second.
I think you did.
This has got to be the most
I'm
confusing.
confused.
We're okay.
Let's
Let's vote.
All right.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't ask.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that. All right, OPM report, your report from Tony?
No, there's no report from Tony, but I'm here to,
Okay, so we'll go with John's architect
Information.
report.
all right, so in no particular order, there is a requisition, and I know this appears under invoices, so there's a requisition which was indicated in the earlier select board meeting. So we have a requisition for the month of June, and a corresponding change order number 10, which is actually a deduct that we will go into a little bit later, I guess. The general progress of the project is that they have brought down the punch list to fewer items, but a couple of the unresolved items are significant. One is the front curb cut, which unfortunately missed the mark by about 3/8 of an inch, but I missed it by 3/8 of an inch in the wrong direction. So there's a little bit, 0.01% more slope than necessary and appropriate. We have a plan with the contractor to replace that curb cut. And that plan will consist of, basically, we had detailed this curb cut to have a 6-foot ramp, 6-foot straight ramp, and 2 6-foot side wings. The contractor installed it with a 5-foot ramp and 5-foot side wings. The fix is go back to what we asked for and give us a 6-foot ramp with 6-foot side wings, and also lower the pad at the end, the landing at the end of the curb cut, approximately 1 inch, actually like 1.25 inches, which according to our plans is what we asked for. We showed, other than the 3 doors that are on that front porch, the elevation of the slab between the building should be 1 inch lower. So if he does those things that we asked, and does them again, basically, this will bring the ramp into compliance with the Mass Handicap Code.
So is he gonna cut back on these, where the saw cuts are?
Actually, we're going to cut back, basically, where we go 6 feet out and 6 feet in this direction, we're going to cut the slab. So the whole slab removal will be 6 feet, the 5-foot ramp, and 6 feet, or 17 feet overall. And we will have a saw cut here and here. We will put a tool joint next to the saw cut joint, and you won't see the saw cut joint, you'll see the tool joint. They actually did that here and here, and it's completely not noticeable. The only issue would be is we will have on this side, I believe, a small section of 3-foot pad between joint and joint, which is, right now we have that 3-foot on this side. So it's not noticeable, nobody ever complained about it. My only concern was the jointing, and if we'd end up with some irregular jointing pattern. But we're going to end up with the same jointing pattern with the 3-foot panel moved from this side to this side, so it's really no different than what we have right now.
When's he doing that?
I've got to, I have stopped him from doing it until we discuss it tonight. If this is acceptable, then we'll tell the contractor to move forward.
So this, as it stands right now, is
Not comply with Mass Handicap Code, it's slightly too steep.
so it's too steep, but how about that 6 feet? Is a portion of it gonna go into the posts?
Well, these little side wings
Yeah.
are there so that if a person doesn't approach it correctly, they don't trip and fall. But if you have a post there or a wall or something, you wouldn't even need this wing wall, this wing panel. So preventing somebody from going across that, this is not a required access point.
It's only this.
It's just to make it safe. The column keeps you safe because you're not gonna trip over it because the column's in the way.
It's forcing you to go into that area.
Yes,
You're talking 5, 5, and 5.
I'm sorry.
This is, right, this is gonna be 6 feet, this piece right here.
No, this is 5 right now and this stays 5.
It's gonna be, oh, it stays 5,
It
okay,
stays 5. It's 6 feet deep in
okay.
that direction, in the ramp
So
length.
what is it that they're pulling out, and,
Okay, so if this moves out to 6 feet, right now the curb cut, where the curb, goes from tilt to flat, is 5 feet. This is 5-foot wing, and this is a 5-foot wing. They're gonna go a foot further,
okay,
and at that point, we're gonna go cut straight back to the building.
okay. And this will get 6 inches on each side? Oh, no, 6 inches this,
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
be.
This is gonna go a foot deeper,
got it.
because right now it's 5 feet.
It won't be as steep.
It won't be as steep. And then we'll blend it in, and we won't exceed any handicap
And
pitch or
that-
slope.
And that has nothing to do, that's no cost to the town.
No cost to the
Fix it.
town, yes.
Yeah, It has to get done, as long as it looks as nice as it does now, that's fine.
We can always go for a request for a variance from the access board for $50, but I don't think they'd grant it. They'd say, do it again.
They're on the hook, well, let's get it done right.
Well, yeah, as long as it looks this nice, and there's no issues,
Mhm.
but we're gonna have to worry about that after.
I believe it will look very, very similar. Okay? They've already replaced the little curb cut ramp on the west sidewalk 4 times. Because every time they did it, we went back, measured it, and they were still off, so. Keeps going around and around. The other large item that is on the punch list is the lawn. Generally, the landscaping's fine. We found some dead trees and they replaced them. But generally speaking, the lawn, we've hit the dry spell here, and not much good is going to happen to the lawn in the near future. What we initially, our initial concerns was, even before the grass grew very tall, there were rocks and stones in there that we wanted them to get rid of. They spent a great deal of time, they got rid of quite a bunch of those stones. Few stones left, not too significant. But the grass itself is kind of dying, it's withering because of lack of water. The contractor needs to be instructed that he still is responsible for it. He has misinterpreted the contract. I think that after 3 or 4 mowings, he was all set. The fact is, we didn't provide a written, we were supposed to provide him in writing our acceptance of the lawn. That never occurred. And there were certain areas of the lawn that he knew he had to fix. For instance, by the transformer in the back of the building, the slopes weren't correct and it wasn't draining properly. It was ponding in the grass area. So different things have happened. Just so you know, the landscaper who works for Salt Marsh, the site contractor, is a subcontractor to the general contractor. RAC wasn't pleased with the effort coming from that subcontractor, so he went out and hired his own landscaper to do some work. So for instance, that patch in the back by the patch grass behind the transformer was done by the general contractor's separate landscaper. Did it a slightly different way. Initially, it became really nice. He tried to do a nice job. He put down nylon netting to hold the hay in place so it would grow up. Unfortunately, the nylon netting is kind of at the edges waffling up, and nobody wants to mow it because you're going to catch that nylon mesh, and I have no idea what's going to happen once a mower gets a hold of it. But they own that. And right now, what I see is weeds are taken over because there's no grass being mowed there. That is certainly on the contractor. The issue of the area they disturbed in the playfield is that initially they did a very poor job. There was rocks, roots, debris on top, the ruts, and there was rolling hills and everything else. They went back, reseeded it after leveling it, after raking it and getting out the stones. I think they did a good job in getting out the debris, but unfortunately, by the time they went back to plant, they lost the rain, and it's not growing very well. But again, that's an area, the whole lawn we haven't accepted, and that one lawn they haven't even asked us to accept. So they're still on the hook for that. So I had suggested, because in other projects, contractors have offered, and I know this is the first time I'm discussing it with the committee, there'll be a take back. We'll give you we'll take $10,000 off our contract if you will assume the remaining rest of the lawn maintenance. You may have people that can do it better than he would. He's remote from the site. There may be somebody more local who you prefer to do that. It's up to you whether or not you want to do that. Certainly the contractor told me when I approached him with that, he says, no, I would like to finish it. So that was his initial point of view, that he would like to finish this job. But right now, he's stuck in the hot months of summer, and nothing's good going to happen until we get back to the planting season in late August with that.
So how come he hasn't watered?
How come he hasn't watered? Because he was hoping they wouldn't have to. And then when he went to his 3rd or 4th mowing, he assumed that he was not responsible, and that was a bad assumption.
Well,
I just found out about DPW mowing it last week when I was on site.
I was out there at 6 o'clock tonight. It looks off.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world the town should accept that lawn the way it is.
Mhm.
And there's no way that lawn is gonna take
Right.
until autumn.
Mhm.
Well,
Not gonna take no water.
even if it does, who knows if there's enough loom left? It's all dried out and stuff like that. I'm surprised they didn't bring more lumen and try to relume it.
There's certain areas there where I am concerned that there's not very much topsoil.
Because even when they took the boulders out and stuff like that, there's big bare spots where they took the boulders out.
Yeah, I replanted those. But again, you're not going to get much growing if you plant in June, late June. Yeah. So we're looking at it. We're even going to go back and look at and take a sample of the grass just to verify the grass is the grass that he submitted and that we specified, and he didn't switch the grass on us. So we're gonna go and do that as a double check.
That's the problem we were talking about before, is the amount of money holding back. I think it's a lot more than $5,000 should be held
No,
back.
1,500. For lawn is 5,000, but the field was 1,500.
Yeah, so all in total, 6,500 for lawns, but the truth is honestly, is some of this other stuff is done, so there's $3,500 that's also done, so that's $10,000 right there. That's still available in this monetized punch list for lawns. You can authorize or request that we withhold another $10,000, in which case I can sign a revised requisition in that amount, $10,000 less, add it to the 10,000, add it to this 30,000, make $40,000, if you wish to. I think, I would like to get the contractor some money, just because he's trying as hard as he can. He is doing other work, and like you said, he's not able to give you a lawn in midsummer. It's just not gonna happen.
Can he do all the prep work before lawn hydro seeding? Before, sometime in the summer? Or is that gonna
I
just
would-
get dry and blow away?
Yeah, no, you don't know what's gonna happen, between here and there. There may be a monsoon that washes everything away. There
Yeah.
could be a, hurricane, a tropical storm that reaches us, who
Kids will
knows?
play on it, and it'll just be dirt, and it'll just get ruined with
well,
that stuff now.
I would suggest that the kids don't play on it, but I get.
Well, yeah, you can suggest that, but it's an open
True.
package,
Oh, well,
until we
that's-
open it all off and
I'm
fence
just,
it off.
I'm talking about scheduled games or something like that.
Oh, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
I'm just saying, kids, it's a
Sure.
park, so we can use it.
So all the work has been done to remove debris and rocks and everything?
Yeah.
All it needs to be done now is scarified or whatever is.
Seeded,
necessary,
fertilized,
seeded,
watered.
fertilized.
Yeah,
And John, didn't you say looks like it's really sandy too, that it's
That's what I'm
not?
saying. Myself, I believe he needs to bring some more lumen, and I think he needs to rehydrate. He probably doesn't want to do that because it's expensive, but that's the only way to do it right.
I think the contractor is responsible for the means and methods to get to an established lawn that we would approve, however he chooses to do it.
Yeah.
Hydroseed may be the way, maybe he York rakes it, maybe he does something else, but,
He hydroseeded it when there was tractor marks in it. Why,
true, maybe that's the simple.
You're right, he needs a York rake. I mean, bring some lumen and York rake the thing and get it level, you get a level and you get it growing. But you can't do it until 1st of September to get it, to grow it.
Yeah, the season starts August 15th, but it's fluctuating with the,
Just as long as we have some sort of official schedule that everybody is subscribing to, so there's not like, all kinds of vagaries about this,
right.
And
The only,
everybody should sign it, this is what we're gonna do.
So right now, and I guess we're kind of bleeding into the invoices, but right now, we are recommending payment of like 98 and holding back 30. We could revise that to a payment of 88 and hold back 40, basically in round numbers.
So the 40 is just for the field?
No, the 40's for everything on there, but the other things that are on there, $50 here for painting. The other big item is the as-built survey, $7,500 for an as-built survey. We put a lot of money on it, but they've done it. The only thing they haven't done is after they replace the curb cut, they have to get new grades there to put on there. So there's very little work left to finish the as-built survey.
We're holding back that money.
But we're holding back $7,500 because we said we would in the contract documents. We're holding back $7,000 for the curb cut. Contractor agrees to do it. He's shown an effort to get it done. He wants to do it quickly. Got no concern that that's going to get done. And we're holding back $7,000. Once he completes a approved curb cut, he's entitled to get paid for, get
We
paid
have
for
to have
it.
a meeting and vote on it.
Right, that would be at the next requisition, next meeting.
what else is on his list? Anything major?
Well, that, I'm just telling you, that's the biggest ones. $7,000 for the front curb cut, $3,000 for the aluminum trim above the gutter, which he's corrected, so that goes into the kitty for anything else. The as-bills, $7,500. As-built drawings, 2 sets for $2,500, so there's basically $10,000 on as-bills. They're important, but this contractor's never failed to provide them, so. $1,000 for certificate of occupancy. There's $500 for the flagstone path, which is now complete, so that $500 is, can go to any other part of this.
The, back to the lawn thing, it's, bottom line is RAC has the wrong, or RAC's landscapers have the wrong subcontractor. RAC's subcontractor hired the wrong subcontractor, is what it, I mean, it's on RAC.
I think the RAC hired the wrong subcontractor, and that
Okay.
subcontractor hired the wrong
They
sub-subcontractor.
just have the wrong, so they subbed the work out to the wrong people. Are they relying on, you said they hired somebody else to finish this?
RAC did.
Are they relying on their new person
No,
to do
there's,
the rest of everything?
no, apparently, it appears like there's split responsibility. The subcontractor maintained responsibility for some areas, and other areas the contractor wanted to have fixed, that maybe the subcontractor said wasn't his fault, they went and did themselves.
So
But I would say mostly it still is relying upon the subcontractor, not RAC, most of the site.
It's a good concern, but really, I don't care what he does.
My question
He could
was,
hire 7 landscapers.
my question is, do we, is it within our rights to direct him to get rid of this guy and hire someone that's gonna do it, or can we not do
Yeah,
that?
I don't think we get involved with that. Let him fix to our standards.
You would,
Somebody does.
you could, but you'd need to defend yourself,
I wouldn't want to.
and then that defense would require lawyers, and then you have to
So
decide.
the answer is no.
Not reasonable.
Anything's feasible, but practically speaking, no, it's not something we can
I
do.
would-
Okay.
Why would we start, you know?
Because we've already went through the entire grow season and and we don't have a lawn, and my.
I think with $30,000 held back, this guy wants to fix it. Doesn't seem like someone's doing it, but it's RAC. But you're right, we're gonna go through another season now without a
And
lawn.
now my concern is we roll around into the, it doesn't get done right in the fall, now the spring starts, and we have another,
I don't think you'll need to keep that, you won't be able to play on that next year.
Okay, so,
Plant it, it won't be strong enough
Okay.
to play on.
so the contract has provisions, where if you provide the contractor notice to do some work, and he doesn't do it well enough, or refuses to do it, and you provide him a second notice, you can basically say, if you don't do this within 7 to 10 days, we're gonna do the work ourselves, and deduct our cost from whatever remaining amounts we have. That's a basic contract provision in construction contracting. So if you wanted to pull the work away from him involuntarily from the general contractor, you could go that route. Or, probably easier, you might negotiate with the general contractor and say, all right, fine, we're gonna hold back $20,000, and we're gonna go and do the work, and whatever's left after that, we'll give it back to you if there is any. And if the general contractor wants that deal, he may want to say, man, these guys are too finicky, right? And he doesn't want to keep traveling out here to do the work. He may want to just cut his losses and move. I don't know that to be what his point of view is. I brought that up to him, and he didn't want to take that. I
So
thought
that means
that was pretty
We're
diligent
gonna
of
be
him.
careful about how much we're holding back to make it worth his while.
Yes, yes.
That's why I think, out of 97, I think we should do like 50 and hold back another 50, almost 50. Lisa?
Yeah, because I asked this guy tonight when he was out there, talking about the lawn, but there's also the issue with the actual landscaping. They did a lot of landscaping work, and as you saw tonight, nobody's weeding it, nobody's watering it. With all that landscaping, that's also looks like it's dying out in places too. Whose responsibility is that? Is that the same as the lawn, or?
No, the landscaping has been accepted. We can't hold out forever on the landscaping. That portion of the work was done reasonably. He turned it over to us. The town should be maintaining it.
Do we have a guarantee on the plants though?
Yes.
Like a one-year guarantee?
1 or 2 year, yes.
Yeah. so we have a
And he's
guarantee
already
on the
replaced
plants.
some. He's
So
already-
does DPW know that? I mean, does anybody know that?
No one's told me that I need to notify them.
Okay, I apologize, but that we should be, on behalf of the town should be maintaining the landscaping.
Not the lawn.
Not the lawn, the landscaping.
Do you have the money in your budget to water?
It's all I guess in my budget this year.
I was out there tonight pulling out crabgrass that was like that big.
I have a question from Lisa Wells. I talked to her about this today, but you said the driveway
It's
with
more-
no more
no
puddling
bonding.
on the back and the front.
I don't see it at all with any rainstorm.
And you had the big rainstorm Friday? So,
Thursday,
I
Friday.
just
yeah.
wanted to.
And it was cut out and it looks good?
It's drying, everything's drying out, it seems.
No, yeah.
But the pavement
24
itself,
hours,
The repair looks good?
yes.
Okay, good.
Well, I don't know if John told us here, I know he did at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, the DPW has been mowing that field.
Yes, well, I was there last week, I believe I saw them mowing it. Mark told me this week they've been mowing it several times. I don't know what several means, but it would appear to me that they've been mowing it for 3 or 4 times. And I've been noticing, because when I was there last week, there's a couple of areas where, in my less than professional opinion, they were mowing it pretty short.
So I think that's gonna be an issue, but let's see what happens. Let's try to hold back some money.
Well, like John said, he had no right to ask him to do that, because it wasn't, you didn't accept it.
It wasn't intent of the specifications, no.
So I would think that when we get the appropriation, we'll have a discussion. We'll do that when we get the appropriation.
Okay. I've already gone through the remaining, what was on the, I did it for the Board of Selectmen's meeting, but I do have copies of the, and I probably don't have enough, but I do have copies of what is basically the remaining punch list items that at least,
Thank you.
these items are from the original punch list that we did at substantial completion. As I mentioned during the Board of Selectmen's meeting, items that come up later, after substantial completion, like if they came up 1 week later, 1 month later, or 9 months later, they would basically go onto what we call a warranty list. And a contractor is required under warranty to repair them. You're not supposed to hold back money for those items. He's, under his bond and reputation to repair those. So that's why certain items that have come up more recently may not be on there, because they were basically not known at the time of substantial completion.
I don't know.
And if you disagree with the amounts, this is your money you're spending, of course, so you can direct us to,
I don't think
Hold back a
$5,000 is
certain-
anywhere near enough to.
No. I don't think $15,000.
That's why I think we should do $50,000 and hold the rest, but we're
So
voting
30
that.
plus 20 more?
that's what it sounds like. Well, that's
You're
just,
saying 30 we already holding, plus 20 more?
No, he's saying 30 plus 50.
Plus 47 more, so we'll just give them $50,000.
So we'd have 80, we'll have 80,000 out there. Well, yeah, because I mean, I don't know, I mean, this is probably small, but one light's still not working in a kitchen, $30? How do you bring an electrician in and fix a broken light for $30? If you have one that does it, you want to use it. $50 to paint 2 spots. I can't even imagine a company's gonna wake up in the morning for $50 and open a can of paint. So, I mean, those are small, but I think,
Right.
what if we find out that
This-
there's a bigger issue than $30 with that light in the kitchen?
Mhm.
We're only holding back 30.
well, that would be a warranty item, not a monetized punch list item from the punch
There's
list.
not a wiring issue. or
Right,
something.
well, it's nothing that was told to
But just
them.
because that says 30 and we find out it's 400 or 500,
Mhm.
we can take that money from somewhere else,
In my
right?
opinion, yeah, the monetized punch list is there to be redistributed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that precise.
One light's still not working in kitchen hood. Has it ever worked?
Not sure, but this has been on the punch list, and they keep on saying. "Dave, I
Did it
forgot
work, Lisa?
It worked in the beginning, yeah.
It did?
They were
Okay.
all on in the beginning.
So it could just be a blown bulb.
Yeah.
Or it could be something short and we got a bigger problem.
Could be 30, could be 3,000. All right,
You're not blowing circuit breakers or anything like that.
No, this is just a 20-watt LED light bulb. We talked about that, I've gone out there and actually tonight verified the slope of the patio. There was some concern that the patio brick may be sloping towards the building. I've confirmed that it slopes away from the building, so that should be put to rest. DPW advised when they went out to the field, I think this week or last week, that 2 of the water valves, when they installed the water valves in the street, weren't centered over the water valve below, and it makes it impossible to operate that valve. So the contractor was notified, again, under the warranty portion of his contract, and has agreed to go out there and move the valves to the correct
the
location.
water district, I mean.
Your water district.
Water district found it, okay, not
And
the,
so, because I talked to him today, and I was out there today, but so So they have to remove the pavement too, to fix that.
They'll have to cut a piece of the pavement out to move it over, and then they'll have to patch and blend it. And we're gonna require them to, hot, no, not hot patch.
Seal it?
The plate, hot plate it,
Oh,
so it
okay.
blends in.
So that's not part of the original?
No, because frankly, we don't go out and open up every
Right.
thing to find out it's supposed to be there. This is the first time in 35 years I've found that somebody missed it.
Yeah, it's just a misalignment of
Yeah.
the frame itself.
There's two of them that are missing.
Yeah.
Two out of three,
Right.
2 out of
So are we
3.
holding back money for those?
No, because it occurred after the punch list, it's a warranty list. Contractor doesn't refute it and has agreed to go out there and fix it under the warranty.
Okay.
We talked about the west curb cut, the front curb cut, the grass, the roof installation's all set. Been up there 4 times to show the contractor how to fix it. Change order, we can go through that during the invoices. We discussed the punch list in Rec 14. Their topsoil removal, so there is a request for additional money from the site contractor for 2 additional items. And I believe this is what was discussed last week for about $90,000 was his initial claim. And I hesitate to use the word claim, let's just say request right now. They did some work under protest. The specifications in one area say the existing soil should remain on site. In another area says the existing soils, any excess additional soil should be removed. Contractor looks at one and says, well, this one's more favorable to me. This is the one that I'm supposed to do, and I'll ignore this one. Specifications don't allow him to ignore anything and do anything like that. So this initially came up a long time ago, and we said, you're wrong, you're not owed any money. He said, I'll do the work, but I'm proceeding under protest, which basically means I'm not going to jeopardize schedule or anything. I want to do the work, but I reserve my right to ask for this money later on. So later on now, he's basically trying to tell us how much money that is. So right now, he went from 90, now just 2 days ago, he came down to 60. We're negotiating to get him much, much lower. And then we'll come back to you with a recommendation right now. So we're still arguing, trying to get more information from him. He's not proving some of his cost. They may go away. We got a lot of facts on our side. So we're still trying to resolve this. Per Tony, the money in here does not go over the project of the budget. He's had this set aside, so there's no particular issue that this is endangering the budget of the project, but we certainly don't want to pay it if we're not.
How many yards did he say he took out? And we're only talking about the $3 difference, is that what he's claiming?
In this particular one, that was correct. It was, I should go to change order. Excuse me.
It was only $3, it'd be 30,000 yards of that.
Right.
I assume it's full freight, it's not.
It was 1,482 yards. This was all,
$3, that should only be $3,000, right?
1482 is 4448, yeah, 1482.
What did he
And that
say
was
the-
all unsuitable material that came out. And
Right, but we already paid him $15 for it. We-
For that same
wants
amount,
18.
for exactly that
So
same
where's the
amount.
9 grand come from?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Where's the what? come
The
from?
90,000.
Oh, that's, this, it's not associated with
This
this.
is a different
No,
item.
no, no, the 90,000, you said something about soils being removed.
Right,
Yes,
So you moved on to this change order.
Right.
We're talking about the 90,000 that you're negotiating.
but he asked a direct question about the math for,
right, for the $3, because he originally said it was
$3.
$3 difference.
No, the question, I don't want to put words in your mouth. The question he asked was, is this only for the additional $3? Meaning, did we get 30,000 yards removed? He took the $3 from this, but he's asking a question about the
Yeah.
90,000.
$3 has nothing to do with the 90,000.
So,
Oh, okay.
so where does the 90,000, what's the
Yeah, that's
claim
what I
for the
guess I didn't
90,000?
understand,
That's
yeah.
what you're
Yeah,
trying to
that's what
get to?
I'm trying to get to, right.
Okay, so the 90,000 would be,
1,400 yards.
uh, 2 items add up to the $90,000 rate. Well, actually, like I said, he's down to $62,000. 1,463 cubic yards of topsoil. So the way we had it stated in our specifications was that all the topsoil was to remain on site. Usually don't want to give it away, towns want it. So the topsoil was to remain on site, and any excess topsoil that isn't used on site gets delivered to the town within 5 miles, trucked, loaded and trucked within 5 miles. We brought the DPW in, and they said, we got too much topsoil, we don't know what to do with it, we don't want it. So the contractor trucked it away and brought in new topsoil at the end of the job when he needed it. So he argued about, well, I want to get paid, we kicked that can down the road. But right now, he's asking for, it's hard to differentiate a number, but I'd say that he's looking for about $4,000 to truck off 1,463 cubic yards, which is quite a few truckloads of topsoil. And then he brought in topsoil at his own cost, so I can't say, we're owed the value. And the town rejected it to begin with.
So that's 4,000, where'd the rest of it come from?
Okay, so, I'm getting here.
Oh, sorry.
The big number is the issue of whether or not the excess soils on the site are supposed to be removed at his cost or will remain on the project. He's pointing to one clause in the specification that says, don't remove them, and I can point to another one that says, remove them. And at the same time, I can say, and listen, there's bound to be conflicts in the specifications, so what does the specification say when you find a conflict? Bring it to the attention of the architect before bid. And if you don't do that, what happens? The contract says you're responsible for the greater quantity or the greater quality of the work. That's what I said 10 months ago to the contractor, and that's why we rejected it at that time. He's come back with a claim now, or additional costs. So he's looking for almost 2,000 yards of excess materials that he did truck off-site, and he would like to get, right now, I believe, $18 a yard to remove it and dispose of it. And we're not even close to that number, in our opinion. So we're in negotiations, trying to negotiate that low. We're certainly going to argue the point of, whether or not he had a right to it in the first place. And then my question to you right now is, how much do I discuss with you right now in open session if there's some strategy involved?
I don't think anything should be discussed if we're gonna negotiate with them
Okay.
in open session.
Yeah, but I just wanted to,
Yeah.
Mike, to.
No, I know,
to what-
I don't understand
Sure.
about that, yeah.
We don't want to give away the store, of course, but we do want, in a sense, to treat everybody fairly,
Right.
you and the contractor, because should the contractor wish to move this into litigation to try to reclaim this money, everybody's paying lawyers, and that's a waste. So if you treat everybody fairly, you're more likely to see, a reasonable outcome and stay out of other issues. The steps at the pump house have been installed. They are basically bolted down. The height of the, when you're on the top landing, the height of the oil fill is 5'7" or so. So I would agree that if you're a very, very short person, that might be difficult, but an average size oil delivery guy can do that.
Well, I guess my only question, we bought these steps.
Right.
So how many feet did it come off the ground, the steps?
Almost 30, 27 inches or
30
something,
inches?
27, 30 inches, something like that.
And we're still 5'7" to the thing?
Yeah. Not,
I think we're almost on the same, in some situations, we're gonna be in the same boat. Is the oil company okay with, they had an issue with delivering it, add another 2 feet to that. It was 7'7", roughly.
yeah, even,
At one
yeah,
time.
at most 8 feet, yeah.
Yeah, so do we know if the oil company is still gonna have an issue with delivering oil at 5'7"?
I've not had a personal, I don't know, because I haven't had any conversations with
I
him.
mean, I don't know.
We put in
5'7"
something,
still
we,
seems pretty
Nah,
high.
I mean, it's not like they're taking a
it's
jerry.
basically your
can.
eyesight, it's right
They're
there.
hooking up a hose.
Right.
Yeah, just,
Yeah, as long as we bought the stairs, I mean, why,
You can't return them.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully the oil company doesn't come and say, we can't deliver, it's too high, it's unsafe.
I think they want the money, you know, but they like to get the money to deliver the oil, so.
You touched on the pump house, the floor, is that another one of the debated items still?
Basically, the contractor, the fire protection contractor submitted a claim for additional costs for that. We responded by refuting all his facts and everything else, and we haven't heard anything else from him. We've asked the general contractor if he's heard anything from him. There's nothing from him. We believe he's walking away, but we don't know. You know, he could, nothing's stopping anybody from coming back a year from now and saying, you know, give me something for something.
At what point does he lose the ability to come back? A year, 2 years, 5 years, and what's the statute?
That's a good question. I would say that reasonably speaking, if he doesn't respond to our letter within 30, 60 days, the law may say, you know, you've lost your opportunity.
Okay.
That's never come up before.
That's John's lawyering.
Other items tonight, and I think we're almost through. Round and round on that front curb cut. There's 120 hours in that front curb cut. It's ridiculous. That may be it, except for any questions you may have.
Any other questions, John? Lisa, do you have anything?
Just wondering about the shed that we were talking about last time.
I had a question about that, two questions actually. Does that have to go out to what do you call it, when a bidder?
I don't know what the price is gonna be, we have to get an idea on what the cost is.
No, does somebody have to be approved to buy a shed? What do we call it?
On the state bid list?
State bid list, yes.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the price. If it's,
I don't think you're talking a lot of money. What are you
I'm
talking?
talking, I would guess $6,000-7,000, maybe even.
Depending on the size, 5,000 to 6,000.
well, does that, again,
No.
does it include?
Just have to get estimates.
Yeah.
Does it include a cement floor? Does the building inspector have any say about it? I mean,
If it's over 12 by 12, or 10 by 12,
Over 120 square feet.
12 by 12?
right, the building inspector has, but
Right.
we still want to we want our building inspector to make sure that whatever we
Well-
put there is
Well,
safe.
the one thing I want to bring up is, don't we want to side it to match the existing things? So we don't want to just buy something that's going to be, first of all, maintenance, which is, to me, is the biggest thing. If we get something we can vinyl side, and you can, all these shed companies, you can do that. You can say, I want to vinyl side it to match the existing building.
Right.
I want the same color shingles. Right. On the roof. And, you know, and I think I feel we had discussion about this, we're not gonna store the voting equipment in there, because that was one of Lisa's concerns.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought we talked, we weren't gonna do that. Because that would be, I wouldn't wanna leave that stuff outside.
You did, you said you weren't going to,
Right.
you weren't going to
That's
do
what I
that.
thought.
I guess the question is, how big do we need? And then we can move to what we're gonna build, where we're gonna put it. Is it gonna be sided? Is it gonna have a cement floor? Is it gonna be just a wood floor? And all that, but we need to know what we're storing in first.
Size first.
Yeah, we need to,
If we're not gonna be doing any of the voting, it would just be the outdoor furniture, outdoor amenities.
yeah, and I don't know if that's 15 things or 3 things or.
And you're talking winter storage essentially for that. If we're gonna do that, if we have a shed, is the DPW gonna wanna leave some equipment there that they use to take care of the property?
A snow blower or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, you know, that we should talk to the DPW. Do we wanna leave a snow blower in that shed for the winter?
Well, they would have to purchase one to leave in there.
I'm just saying, rather than just say, oh, this is what we need, let's talk to the DPW, let's talk to the people that are maintaining the property to see if they need space in that shed. The answer may be no, but it's much cheaper to say, do it up front rather than say, oh crap, we bought the wrong size and.
All right, so does it make sense to have Lisa sit down with, who's gonna maintain it, the DPW, I would assume? Sit down with DPW director and say, this is how are you gonna upkeep my building? And this is what I wanna store in there, and then we can get a size, and come back at the next meeting, we can figure out what size the shed to buy, and then we can go out and ask these people, can we give us a bid? Tell them we want to vinyl side it, we want to color the roof, or, because I don't think you just want to put a, texture 111 on the siding of it.
And depending upon the size, the building inspector may want a foundation, if it gets too large.
Are you gonna have to go back to the planning board?
Yes, definitely.
Where's it going? Do we know where we're putting it?
Off on the east side somewhere, I would assume.
It's the only place that we could, you know, it's on the
In the
east side.
parking lot?
Depends on if you need to get truck access to it or not. You might not need to get truck access to it, then you like to tuck it out of the way a little bit.
How about, you talked about gardening stuff, that you might do a gardening stuff. We're gonna
Supplies,
need
outdoor
some type of-
recreational equipment.
some type of shelving in there for that. We're gonna, you know, it's not just gonna be a hole if you're gonna bring gardening. So it's, I think we always talk about this, it's only gonna cost $4,000 or $5,000, but we've learned many times from a metal building.
You triple it. All right, so you'll get in touch with
DPW director.
and let us know for our next meeting so we can schedule it to have this discussion about it. All right? Is there anything else you need?
So in regards to that, who and when do we start making changes and go to the planning board? Is Tony still gonna be involved when we get to
I
this
think this
stage?
is gonna be outside the scope of this project.
I would
This is
say,
gonna
I
be
would
a-
say so.
I don't think there's anything to do with the, I mean, we're gonna have to tell the planning board, but that's got nothing to do with your as-built.
No.
You have
Keep
to
it
say
off
to
there.
them, we're building a shed. If the building inspector requires a permit for it, we'll apply for a permit, and we'll tell the planning board, we're adding the shed over in, you know, wherever we're gonna add it. But I don't think, we should involve them, because it's not fair to them for one thing, and it costs us more money to do it like that.
You mean our contract was over in April?
One last thing on that. Say, I may do a garden, I may do this, build it with enough space for the maydos, so that you have space to keep this extra equipment that you might use outside versus, this is what I need right now. Think a little bit down the road, what you might be.
12 by 20.
20 by 30.
That don't go crazy, but.
You mean,
garage
the
doors.
horseshoe, and the
Two floors,
volleyball,
second
and the
story.
tennis courts and all
Right.
that kind of stuff, yeah.
So we're gonna have to look at shelving.
Horseshoes maybe, tennis courts probably not.
Fireplace.
Yeah.
All right.
So when you find the size, and we'll come back next meeting, we'll get a couple of contractors in there to give us a price, I'm sure they'd be happy to.
And there's probably something on the state bid list.
Yeah. Anything else for John or Lisa?
I just have one question about as far as watering those plants, what are you gonna do about that as far as, what are we gonna do about it?
Yeah.
As far as watering, because I mean, are they gonna void our warranty if they say we never water? I mean, they'll give us new plants again maybe, but.
Right.
But I think DPW is gonna have to, I think Nancy will contact the DPW director, and he's gonna have to come up with a plan to maintain it, don't you think? Someone's gonna maintain it.
No, I hear you. I don't know, how far away is the hydrant?
Oh, don't we have spigots on the outside of the building?
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
Just,
we have-
you know, maybe what you could do is the fire department just put a watering tank on the back of a truck. They just retrofitted a truck.
We have
Maybe you
one.
could ask the fire
We
department
have
if
one
they
of those
could.
that we do trees with. We
Okay.
watered our trees for all those years, but, I mean, right now, for the, around the plants, if you just, get some kind of sprinklers or something, because we gotta water them, because it's getting dry out there. We dig it today,
You could put a
it's dry.
soaker hose on
And
a
in terms
timer.
of the
Right.
budget, I don't think it was ever, we took our budget estimating on police stations and their usage and some engineering. I don't think exterior water planting, I don't think that was ever taken into consideration. They thought it would probably be grounds.
Well, the
got 4 times
DPW
the
would
plants.
definitely maintain it, it's a town building, the DPW would maintain it, so they have to, you guys have to come up with a schedule, and the director has to come up with a schedule.
Right.
If he has to go in there every 3 days and water it, or 2 days, send somebody up to water it, that's what they have to do.
But I don't think the water usage was put in.
Well, that's what I meant,
Oh.
because there is a number to that, it ends up adding up pretty quick.
Oh, a hose on like you say, just a
Yeah.
hose watering. I
Soaker
mean, we're
hose.
talking, this is right now, but this is gonna be they're gonna be planting flowers every year from now on. So we
Yeah.
have to figure, we're gonna be having somebody water these, what do we do with the
No,
center
no,
of town?
they'll get more established. Right now, they're young.
Flowers and things, but we have those water things in the center of town, that the rainwater fills them on. Do you guys fill them? I don't know. Are they
Cisterns.
still there?
The fire department fills them.
Yeah,
Cisterns, basically.
yeah, and you can, water with those? I don't know what the answer is, but it has to be.
Well,
Well,
that's
we
some-
exercise that pump and.
Well, it's not
fire pump
under the
for-
purview of this committee.
Right,
That's-
yeah, that's something that they need to work out. All right.
Every week when we do, why don't we just hook a hose to that thing we back?
Because the hose is this
Water.
big.
You can run those flowers right down the street.
You could drill a hole in the,
Keep downsizing
Wrong
it to
with
a
that.
hose this big. I mean, why don't we use that water somehow?
well, the grass is growing very nicely where that
Oh, we
water
could
is.
definitely fill up those barrels with it.
Well, the water that we use every week when we do the fire pump test, we can just collect
That's
it.
what
That's what I'm
said.
thinking.
That's what
The
she said.
grass back there must be beautiful.
Yeah, it is. That's not the issue over there, you
Yeah.
know, so.
All right, invoices, CM Geeks, $1,059, this is for a telephone or something?
Well, we changed the phones. Is this for the change in the phones?
Those will change, yeah.
Yeah, this is
This was going from wireless to,
CM Geeks is for a phone, three phones, one, must be a connector or something. And a wire for, and a device for a fax machine. So it's $1,059.
so do we get any credits for the phones? Or do we buy those and just give it back to them? The wire?
We did it back, I don't know what.
He never charged us, I don't believe, did he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't know.
When he was at the meeting last time, he said he wasn't charging us for the
I remember
phone.
him saying, I'll just take them back and put them in my shelf stock.
Yeah,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
All right.
Shannon, this is to fix the projector, but, so they installed it? Or did somebody hit it or something like that? Is that why it got moved?
The projectors, yes,
Somebody hit it?
evidently. We don't know who. It just was crooked when we actually turned it on, so.
So,
The service call, so there was no, the installers wouldn't, be responsible for fixing it?
Right.
They saying they aimed it and then it got re-aimed somewhere else, I guess, and they came back and moved it back.
And we paid them $305 to go up on a ladder? and-
Didn't come through, I have no idea about this.
Well, I don't think this should go in, this is past the project, this is a
Yeah,
maintenance issue.
operating budget.
This is a maintenance issue now, it's not, for a move screen, we're gonna pay 20 years on $305. I know it's pennies, but.
I agree, this is not a, this is,
All right, so we make a motion, pass over, or not pay?
Forward it to the town administrator, find a budget,
No, forward it to the.
No, it goes to the-
senior center.
Yeah, the FY20.
All right,
But,
so,
again, I mean, I think we have to look into if a project, I don't get it. It says, service call 2 at $135 an hour. Was there 2 that were both?
2 hours, at $135 an hour for 270 hours.
yeah,
I don't know, I don't see where that says hours.
Tony was going to call them out, so it's like,
It's probably portal to portal though, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course it is.
yeah, I don't know, I don't see here where that says it's hours, but.
it was 2 hours, yeah, because it was $135 an hour, so $270 and $35 to adjust it. No, trip charge was $35.
So we're making the assumption that it's $135 an hour.
Yeah,
It-
2
Yeah.
times 135,
Yeah.
that's what that bill means.
That's our.
That's hours.
Okay, I mean, so,
And $35 worth of fuel, because they're coming from California.
All
That
right,
charge $35 for fuel from Lowell.
I guess whatever the case is, we have to, before we call this company back because a projector moved from here to here, when somebody could have just got a ladder and went and moved it back for zero money, we gotta be careful not to call this a company that's gonna charge us $305 to do this.
Yeah, I agree.
all right, so we need to, how we do, pass over?
Excuse me.
I would pass over it because this is actually a 19 bill.
it is
All right,
You have money though.
in purchase service.
Yep, she has money.
So we just
She
pass
sells
over?
that.
No, it's the invoice date is 6/10/19. That's a
19.
June?
No,
the-
it's an FY19.
Oh, right, versus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Due date 7/10.
So I'll make a motion to forward this bill on to the, council on aging?
Senior Center.
Senior Center.
second.
It was-
Yeah, the only question I have is, was it Tony that asked for this guy to come back and move it?
Yes.
I don't know that he understood the charges would be so high.
Yeah, maybe we should, maybe before you pay this bill, you should talk to Tony, so he calls this guy and says, come on, you did it, you came here, you put a ladder up, you were here for, I can't imagine he was here for 2 hours.
Are
He
these the
was
people
not.
that installed it?
No, he was not.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. 45 minutes
It was their,
to 45
yes, it was their
minutes back.
product, they sold it and installed it too.
This is their product, they sold and installed it, it's brand new and it moved?
Yeah,
They didn't install it properly, in my
no, they installed it properly, somehow it appears that it got touched and moved and
Okay.
needed to be realigned.
I have no problem, but I would ask that you talk to Tony and say, this bill's crazy. Tony, you asked these people to come back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, $50 maybe, we'll settle.
I assume that they demonstrated to Tony that it was working properly, but if Tony finds out it was not demonstrated to him that it was working properly, you can always argue that this is the way they set it up and shouldn't pay anything to fix
If
it.
they bought, if, this is the company we bought it from?
That's what AB,
That's good customer service. All right, so we passed over that. Oh, no, we made a motion to send it to senior center.
Seconded.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All right, RA Builders, number 14 for $97,468.
Okay, so right now that leaves approximately, well, $29,780, approximately $30,000 for retainage. As we discussed earlier, the feelings of this committee is that you would like to have more money in the balance or retained to take care of more lawn issues, as we suspect that over the summer, the lawn's going to get worse. So,
I make a motion, we hold back $50,000.
So you want to make the payment $47,468?
Yep.
So we're gonna be holding back 80 something.
it'll be pulling back $80,000. That
Not too
It's
much?
pretty hard to justify, and it needs to be semi-reasonable. If you held back 60,
Yeah. I would be
um,
more comfortable with that. I mean, it's doubling basically the current holdback, which already has some margin in it, so.
no.
Okay. You okay?
Okay, okay.
So you
I'm
want
making
to
that.
withdraw that?
Yeah, withdraw the motion.
And that's a round number.
So, you want,
So you wanna do we wanna make the motion to approve 67,468?
That would be easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
So we'll be 50 something thousand.
59,780 will be the remaining.
okay. Make the motion?
Yeah, make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Well, actually, I'm sorry, I know you asked for discussion. Do you see much heartache coming from the contractor when he's not gonna get paid until the second week of August?
Yeah, there's a word for it, but yeah. But he doesn't have a lot of leverage because he can't go out there and tell us it's done well. So, he has, I would say, other than issues that the general contractor hasn't been directly responsible for himself, this particular subcontractor and issues, got no problem with RAC.
I agree.
They've done you well.
100%, obviously, he's done a great job. It's the guys that he has worked for him.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll work with them
But he
again.
hired them, so.
Yeah, we
He's
say
responsible.
the RAC did good, but he got those guys.
He didn't know them before this job.
Oh, and he got them because when he put his bid in, he.
Yeah,
got
saved
those
some money.
companies And they gave the lowest
Yeah,
price and
right.
he got what he paid for.
And if he used somebody else, he wouldn't have gotten the job.
All right, and,
Risk, contractor risk.
change order number 10 for minus 6,000, I'm sorry, $750 credit for us.
Yeah, so, basically, this includes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, 4 of them are deducts. There's a deduct for a kitchen floor sink, which was, installed a half-inch too high of $2,000. Doesn't, no impact on the drainage of the building. There is a expansion joint, which was instead installed as a control joint, which we're getting $1,600, so that's pretty good. Credit for deleting the boulder placement. Now, the contractor went ahead and installed boulders, and I believe he actually imported boulders to do the boulder work, after we told him to give us a credit for not installing it. So he was good enough to remove the boulders and in addition give us a credit. I thought $4,000 was all it was worth. The PCO for removing soils was something that, in all fairness, the contractor was owed. He basically removed all this unsuitable soil that no one was prepared to find, and removed it from the project at $15 a yard, and I'd go back and say he should have been paid $18. So he's getting the $3 that he missed the first time out. And the last one is the credit on the concrete footings for the signpost. The most delicate ones are the ones in the middle of the parking lot for the handicap parking. But to replace them would, his best job of replacing them would give you something that would probably not look very nice. So a total is a deduct of $6,752. And,
Any motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, now we're gonna review the mission of the FISP7 Municipal Building Committee and Tax Facilities.
you need me here any longer?
Do you want to,
I'm going to
Yeah.
change the amount of.
yeah, please, thank you.
So,
All right. So I'm certainly happy to get the discussion started. So we broached this 2 meetings ago. I think maybe the best way to start this is just to give you a sense of where the missions of the CIB and the FISP start to interact. So on our list of asks, for instance, I think there's a $350,000 fire engine 2 years out. Well, are we going to have a fire department? Is it going to be staffed full-time locally? Are we going to try to do some kind of a merger? Is there a building to put it in? That kind of thing.
I'm just confused. Why is this in front of the building meeting? This committee can't,
because I think the facilities and,
are we gonna have a fire station? Are we gonna have a fire department? Are we gonna have, I don't.
That's the scope of this committee.
it's a strategic planning, that's the whole.
Yeah, but I mean, reviewing these 3 things at this level, we can't change them. We can't make changes, we can't say. The parks facility, the building committee, obviously, and the FISP. Well, I don't know, municipal building committee and the FISP. I don't know what we can do in this committee with the municipal building committee. I don't know what this committee can do with the parks facilities.
Well, I think we could meet with them and find out what their needs are gonna be, and same with the CIB, what the needs are gonna be for the future. I think that's what Ray's trying to say, is they want, instead of,
We don't handle parks. This committee does not handle parks.
There's a $20 million requisition for the parks.
It doesn't come to this committee. Comes to the board of selectmen possibly, but not to the building committee.
Okay,
I mean-
it's a facility. It's not clear to me that that's the case. But, another for instance, we've got nominally $1 million worth of requests from the library for HVAC-related costs. Should we approve them? And why? And should we bring somebody in, an architect, to redesign the HVAC? Should we say, no, the library will get relocated? And we're starting to talk about some pretty sizable amounts. And guidance from this committee as to what the longer-term plan is for the buildings in town has a pretty profound impact on the decisions we would make on which capital things to approve.
And I'd say in regards to the air conditioner at the library, it should come from the board of selectmen. But if he's
That might-
asking if strategically we're saying in 5 years we're gonna build a new library, if that's what you're asking, that's different.
well, I think that's.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, a strategic plan for municipal buildings, $1 million renovation is part of the strategic plan. Is that something that this committee is gonna look at doing, or is it something that's gonna be done over the next 10 years piecemeal by the CIB? That
Air
falls under.
conditioning system, I mean, I don't know how,
If there's $1 million worth of HVAC stuff that's coming forward, that certainly would meet the criteria of a strategic planning for what we're gonna do with our buildings.
And just, and the same with the fire station.
Fire station, exactly.
The exact same thing. Are we gonna, we haven't had very little discussion, if any, on this, but what are we gonna do with the building? Are we gonna renovate it? We're gonna, you know.
I think we all have our
that's-
suspicions.
That's
about what
why
has to happen.
I think it's a good idea to bring this forward, because
Thank
they're in control of the money. They're not in control of the money, but they wanna know what's gonna be spent for the next 5 years, 3 years, 10 years. Do they wanna spend $1 million on air conditioning if we're gonna spend $1 million on the fire station? I think that's the idea you're looking at.
That's part of it, but, you know, if we take the last meeting the finance committee had with the board of selectmen, you know, the question was, how much money do you need to go into the CIB fund? And, you know, we were working on updating the list. Well, depending on what the plan is, will affect what the answer to that question is. But I think, you know, there's very real short-term projects, or, well, I guess I shouldn't say short-term, because it depends on what the committee decides. You know, the fire department, are we gonna do anything long-term for the library? You know, other projects that might be coming up, and DPW wants to basically add a fairly sizable garage facility to work on trucks.
They do?
That's no, I never heard that.
That's,
Oh, and one of
that's
your
been brought up
meetings,
with us.
at one of your meetings, the director told you that they want to add a garage on to the building?
Sure, if it was Mike or the director. Chris, do you remember?
I don't remember.
Was it you?
No, not me.
There's limitations to what they can and can't do in the winter, and there's salt shed requests. It's like, okay, well, you know, we're happy to take the mantle and lead some of this if that's the decision that we want to make, but it seems like it's really based on the charter of this committee to kind of lay out some of these things.
I guess anybody can read it. I don't know, it says supervision over the design and construction of all public buildings. The air condition would be maintenance. So I don't know.
And the air conditioner, I agree with.
Yeah, I mean,
with maintenance, but I'm talking
and then-
about, like, if you're gonna do something with the fire station, that's certainly the design and construction. If you're gonna do
Yeah.
something with the DPW building, that's certainly design and construction.
Yeah,
That's,
that's-
that's the first I ever heard about that.
Right. So I think construction, I don't know about, again, I guess if on our strategic plan is, we're gonna build a new library in 5 years, we're still gonna need an air conditioner for the next 5 years, so that's maintenance. We
Well,
wouldn't say, we're gonna do it in 5 years, let everybody sweat in there, it's not gonna be, we're gonna have to fix it.
Well,
It's maintenance.
yeah, right, but one perfect example is this town hall. This was an existing building we bought and renovated. That was part of our project. So this would be the same thing if we did the fire station, if we did the DPW. I agree with you about the air conditioning. I don't know if that's part of, would fall under us, because that is, have to be
well,
made.
maybe it doesn't fall under a FISP, it should be under a discussion with the board of selectmen.
I agree about that.
You know, looking at our charter and what we're being expected to offer opinions on, there needs to be some interaction between the committees to set some.
And I think the more the better, because I think, we always talk, when we go to town meeting, we don't have enough information for what you guys, we're gonna request, or we have it right at the beginning of the meeting and stuff like that. I've said that for the last 3 or 4 years. But I think it's important that we have discussion now, and everybody knows what's going on, not only 2 years, but 5 years or 10 years, but your plan, long-term plans.
Yeah, and I think in the scope of other things that might be a discussion with the Board of Selectmen is the facility manager situation as well. One of the bigger issues we have is this list of requests from the library, which they get from all of their vendors. Well, the vendors like to serve themselves, so how do we rate how many of those things have which value? Are the prices reasonable? And if we just bit the bullet and put in a new system for $400K, is that a better value to the town?
Well, I think that facilities manager is a perfect example with that, fixing the projector there or something like that. Certainly somebody could do something like, that's a perfect example.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but I disagree. We've hired directors of all these departments. We hire a police chief, a fire chief, a DPW director. those guys are in charge of their buildings. I mean,
But should they be?
They don't have the
They're
expertise
still
for
gonna-
this kind of
They're,
thing.
they're in charge of the buildings, but I don't think they should be. That's why we had the discussion of a facilities
I
manager.
think someone, but I mean, as far as if we should hire, I mean, Tony did this, so we can't even use that as an example. Because if
No.
anybody, if Lisa saw it, I doubt she would have called. I
Right.
don't think.
But do you remember down at the police station, because when the air filters was clogged or something was clogged, the AC unit shut off, so we had to pay for them to come in and fix it. Which, if we had a facilities manager, they would have been on their routine, and they would have fixed it.
Oh,
So-
I didn't know, the chief doesn't have a routine on checking filters?
I don't know. I have one for this building. I don't know
Yeah.
how he,
But that was something that happened when the police station
We all
first
know
came
that
out.
that's been talked about, so I guess we'll have to bring it up again
I-
and see where we stand.
I
on
think
the Board
that,
of Selectmen.
I agree, that's,
Changing a filter is one thing. When Anna Shaw's air conditioner isn't working and she has a guy come in and say, you need to replace these 84 widgets and it's gonna be $13,000, she's gonna go, okay, and she's gonna come ask for the money. Whereas if we have a facilities guy, the guy's gonna say, you're out of your mind, it's these two widgets that are causing the problem, and he goes like this and he fixes it.
I mean, what step we're gonna go, I don't think we're gonna hire a facility guy that is gonna do anything more than call an air conditioner company in. I don't know if we're gonna, for what we're looking for, we're a small town. I can't imagine we're gonna get someone that knows expertise in air conditioning. So if a guy comes in and says, these need to be changed, he's gonna say, no, you're wrong. I just checked it myself and it doesn't. I don't know, I think, again, we need to talk about a
I think
facility.
you're gonna
person.
get a guy that knows a lot more than the director of the library knows, and is gonna be able to save the town money and not do things that are not necessary because a vendor told them to.
Well, we've been going a year now again. This should go further. We've been going a year that these groups should all get together when they meet and say, who are you using to test your library, test your elevator every year? We're gonna use the same guy. We're gonna call the school and say, you wanna get involved on this? And we're gonna merge that together. We should be able to do that without, we could save the town money right
Right,
there,
but
if
we
it's
also-
not already done.
we also need a facilities manager, because, something, to me, if you couldn't like, fix a door, if the door was squeaking or wouldn't shut or something like that, I'd want somebody that was able to do little things. I don't expect anybody's gonna replace a vent and an air conditioning for a facilities manager. But we need somebody to go every week, walk through every building and tell what's wrong with it, what's updated in it, what needs to be done in it. I
We
think
can
that's
talk
important.
about it again at the Board of
I
Selectmen.
agree.
But this came in front of the Board of Selectmen by our last town administrator, and we all said, you're crazy.
Because it was $84,000 or something. that
Correct.
Was not anywhere near that kind of,
Correct, so-
we don't need anybody full-time to do it.
Yeah.
Can I just give an example? I mean, we used the library as kind of a, put them on the pedestal for the example, but when I was meeting with Anna, she's spending a significant amount of her time trying to maintain the building, which has issues that are beyond her expertise, her competency as a library director. For instance, the ephes, the surface on the new portion of the library, all right, has been, you drive by it now, it looks kind of silly. She's got streamers hanging from the roof to keep the woodpeckers away, because the woodpeckers peck through the ephes and create holes. And then the little starlings go in there and nest or whatever. Well, that's cute and everything, but what happens is it creates moisture, gets behind the ephes, and create mold. Leominster, I think, just had a remediation which was close to $100,000 to get rid of the mold in their library. So, or one of the buildings that had that same texture on the exterior. So I guess from that, that's one example. So what do we do about that? I mean, that's a bigger problem than I think the library director can handle. So she comes to us and says, yeah, I have some capital needs. Here's an example of what I've been told to cure this problem. I call the Department of Conservation and Recreation and say, I've got a woodpecker problem. Can you guys take the woodpeckers and move them somewhere else? She says, no, we would have to kill them. And that's the only way we can do that. And so this is a woman that's supposed to be running the library, and she's, looking into structural things. I mean, you know, air conditioners that were put in, they weren't put in properly, you go up in that attic there, there's no way you're gonna be able to replace those units because there's no access to the area where it's located, the eaves.
Pat, can we revisit this at
So-
the selectmen's meeting?
Yeah,
That's the only place we can do it.
We're basically saying, that we strongly feel that it's gotta be revisited. I'm not advocating for anything in specific, full-time, part-time, whatever, but we need to add some expertise to people that are being made responsible for making decisions without the right background.
And we need some strategic guidance as a capital investment board from the standpoint of, we've got funds,
Can't find that.
how do we allocate those
Yes.
funds? What are the needs going to be? Is there gonna be a new fire station in the future? Is there gonna be a study for one? Are we gonna look at alternatives? I don't know. What do we do before
I
we
think
spend
we
that
need-
money on that project?
we're talking about two separate things.
There are two separate issues.
So
The FISP, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're done. We don't have any, for this project, the library, the
senior center.
the senior center is done. We need to meet a few more times and come up with a plan as to what we're gonna do moving forward.
Is there a strategic plan now, written?
No.
Well, we better get on
No, and I think you're both right. Everybody needs to, we need to, what we're gonna do next step after the senior center is done. What else needs to be done? I think we need to look at what else needs to be done in town, and if we're the right group to do it, we should step forward. If not, whoever we decide is the right group.
We don't have to decide that.
No.
We need to discuss it and figure
Yeah.
out how we're gonna develop our strategic plan. That should be
Okay.
our focus moving forward for the next few meetings.
Okay.
Buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
On all buildings, and that includes the schools.
Well,
you
we
know, I
can't-
mean,
we
that's the
can't.
other piece.
So, I mean-
Well, we have to involve them in that discussion, because
We
they're
would have to
gonna
get
be
the-
looking for that, they could be looking for.
But didn't they come to us last year, the schools, and say, look, we're looking at facilities that we're gonna have to deal with? Yeah, they came to this
I
committee.
don't think so.
No.
They will be.
No, the
They've
schools-
conducted
the
their
schools have
studies.
not come to-
Oh, I specifically remember a meeting.
No, I believe there was talk about school stuff, new schools coming down the road.
Yeah.
Nobody from the school department or the school committee has come before the FISP to say, we're gonna need new schools and this is our timeframe. Yes, has there been discussion of schools? There has. There's also been discussion of the fire department. But there's never been a formal ask or even a formal sit-down between this committee and anybody from the school department.
But if we were to do a strategic plan, would it include that?
I think it should.
I think it has to.
One thing I'd be interested in is that the fire department had the funds to do the asbestos, what was
No,
that?
they had funds
To do the $150,000.
We have the $150,000.
Did you get the report back?
We have, no, we had one person, it was John McMillan, who submitted, and we're basically going through all
We have
that.
$150,000 and a voicemail.
All right, so I think at next meeting we have to discuss the future after the senior center.
Yeah, I can offer that when we did meet with the schools, we asked them about their plans, and they had commissioned a group to do a very extensive study. They're sorting through those results and trying to decide where they want to go to. Their intention is to meet with this committee sometime reasonably soon.
See, that's news to me and news to me about DBW, so that's two things we learned.
And it's not within the purview of this committee it says municipal buildings. So, yes, we're not in charge of the schools, but there's a finite pot of money. We need to know, to develop our plan, we have to know what the schools are intending to do. We can't just do ours in a vacuum.
We are the only one of these three groups that has strategic planning specified in our title. So unless we're going to turn our back on that, or change our title, we ought to live up to the strategic planning component of our title.
I agree.
So we have to invite each
Yeah.
group
And I'm sure they'd be more than willing to come in.
The library director, I mean, but again, if it's maintenance, then we're gonna, because I don't think anybody in this room thinks we're gonna be building a new library.
No.
Right. Or even the thought of it is not even, I mean, the library's beautiful except for some maintenance issues. So now you have a capital improvement plan that you got under your mission. Do you have all that information on your capital plan?
We have it, we're still compiling all of the details, but yeah, we've got all
Yeah,
the
I
details
know.
on the library.
Right, so that's, I guess, under your, you don't really have like a mission sentence like where you guys have a page.
Well, we have it, but again, the issue is, in lieu of someone looking at all of these things holistically, should we be funding them on piecemeal basis, or should we bite the bullet and do something bigger? And that's really the biggest question we have with the library requests.
And that's really a CIB to Board of Selectmen discussion.
And that's fine. This is a place to start the discussion.
Right.
For obvious reasons. We've got to have a better sense on strategic plan for buildings to know what we're doing with the things that feed the buildings.
Okay. So for next meeting, we will put that on the agenda to talk about that.
Would you like me to get the debt schedule for the next meeting to go along with that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk first and not invite any groups yet.
I think we should,
I think-
we should decide what direction we want to go.
Yeah, we have to have at least a little bit of consensus
Yeah.
amongst us
Yeah.
before we can really branch out.
I mean, I don't think we need to,
What, so I guess my question would be, what would be the what?
develop a strategic plan. Are we gonna do it amongst ourselves? Are we gonna hire a professional to help us? Are we gonna, get an evaluation of buildings? Are we gonna call everybody together? I don't know. I think we as a group should figure out what path we're gonna take to develop that strategic plan before we start inviting anybody from the outside.
And what's the most important, what we need to prioritize, the first building needs to be done.
That's when we start inviting everybody,
Yeah,
because
I
we
mean,
can't
I
do
guess
that yet.
we need to figure out which path we're gonna take before, how we're gonna go about doing it. Let's develop a plan. I mean, there's no urgent rush to develop a strategic plan for what our building needs are, what's gonna happen with our buildings in the next.
Well, there are groups that are saying there are urgent rushes that needs something needs to
But
be done.
even if we decided today, we're building a new, pick a department building, it's still years away from happening.
So next meeting, we just want to discuss about amongst ourselves.
That would be my recommendation.
On the strategic part of the plan, I think we also have to have a realistic discussion about funding. I think we collectively believe the town's kind of tired of funding capital projects. Well, all right, well, where does that leave us?
There's no other way to do it.
A new grant writer.
There's no other way to do it.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll do
well,
that.
I think it has more an impact on just time expectations, when would we do these things?
All right, anybody else?
So the other information on there is not the Parks facility, that's on here, that has nothing.
Right.
There's no discussion on that with us.
If that's not deemed part of this committee's charter, that's fine.
Because we'd be doing the same thing.
The only, Parks Facilities has put forth what they want to do. They have a
$25 million plan.
yeah, West 20, we now have 25 million to do everything that they want to do. That's,
But that's a year and a half. Have you met in the last year and a half? Okay, so we don't know what, they're talking about mixed the field, the Parks Commission, I was at that meeting. They're saying they want the Parks Facility Committee to handle the, again, that's,
Yeah,
unless we dissolve the Parks Facility Committee and take it onto this committee, as of right now, we have a committee that's supposed to oversee that.
right, and the very last thing that they put forth is the entire redo of Goodale Park. And obviously that hasn't been funded, and as Ray said, not something I would want to bring forward to the town anytime soon.
They didn't, I don't think they ever brought it.
No.
Yeah, they never brought it forward.
No.
They just, that's the last plan they did.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I was the one.
I would also note, for some amusement, is the cemetery considered a facility?
They're looking to purchase land.
Right,
I
it's
think we're already discussing that at the Board of Selectmen. I don't know.
When you say facility, do you mean like a building or?
No, is a cemetery a facility?
I don't think so.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
I think we're talking about it on the Board of Selectmen side, but I don't know how. It says buildings, buildings, buildings in all of that.
Yeah, I don't think that would fall under that.
It was a question, it's not really a
And
statement.
that's, I mean, of the things we're gonna do next, that's our most urgent problem. We're running out of space. You know, the DPW has a place right now. It's not great, but they have a place. There's not gonna be a time certain where they're not gonna have a place. Unless, you know, it becomes like Mixner.
But, I know you said it's not great, but we don't know it's not great. All the directors that have been there said, no, this facility's working fine.
Fair enough. It's
Yeah.
not great comparatively to the new buildings in town.
Of course.
That's what I
It's
meant.
not, yeah, it's not.
That's what I meant.
Same with the fire station, same with, yeah.
Right.
All right. Yes.
Next meeting is,
Next meeting is August 14th.
that's 7 o'clock,
Do we,
6 o'clock, 7 o'clock? It says 7 o'clock, so 7 o'clock.
Seven?
Yeah, that's what it says on the agenda.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to make that
you
meeting.
know what, I can't make it either. I'm not gonna be here August 14th.
So let's change it.
Let's change it. Can we make it,
Do the 8th,
yeah,
7th?
the 7th is a Wednesday?
The 7th is a Wednesday, it's first Wednesday, so it'll be a Board of Selectmen's meeting. Oh, no.
No, there's a
We're
Wednesday.
having one the first, so.
I won't be here the 7th.
It's that time of year, scheduling sucks.
21st, that'll be a Board of Selectmen night.
No,
No,
there
we
is
don't
one.
have one, we don't have a board.
There's only one
select-
meeting anymore.
We only have the board, we only have the first.
20th, 21st.
I will be
whatever.
back then.
You won't be?
I won't be here the 21st either.
November
Let's try
22nd.
September.
I'm not here that whole week.
How about the week of the 26th, August? It'll be where
Well-
your building meetings used to be, the end of the month. How about that 26th, everybody?
You
Yes.
mean the 28th?
26th is a Monday, 27,
Oh, we
28.
usually do Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I'm free that week.
28,
28th.
28th.
Does that work? Is that good for you?
Sure.
Okay. Good for you, Mike?
Yep.
Okay.
And, same time, 7?
Yeah.
28th.
All right. Motion?
Oh, wait,
Adjourn.
I'm sorry, before we do that, that means we won't approve any more bills till the end of August. Is that gonna be an issue?
What bills?
The senior center. We're not gonna pay them another bill until,
We just approved the payment.
The Board of Select.
today's the 10th, we're talking.
Board of Selectmen's only meeting August 1st.
To pay the bill, we just,
So, I mean, if we met on the 14th,
We're not gonna meet
we're
again
going to pay them anyway.
till the 28th of the month.
The Board of Selectmen is meeting August 1st, and that's our only meeting in August.
okay, so they're not gonna pay
So the
it
Board
anyway.
of Selectmen's,
He just said we gotta be timely, you have to timely, said he have a special meeting because something's timely.
no, the bills that we just approved tonight, that's the 60 some odd thousand, that's gonna be approved August 1st by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
60-something thousand?
Yeah, the $60,000.
The REC.
$67,000.
Oh, we never made the vote.
Board of Selectmen said no to that.
Yeah.
So we didn't make another motion to
Right.
say up to.
No,
Right.
so that's gonna be approved, assuming we approve
Right.
it, on August 1st. So they'll get paid on August
So there
7th.
shouldn't be anything else.
And nothing else is gonna be done in that month anyhow. They're not gonna be able to do the lawn until September.
I don't know the answer, I just.
So it's the 28th?
Yes.
7.
7. All right, do we have a motion?
28th
At
at 7.
28th at
At
7.
7.
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Adios.